Welcome back to the program. This is Capital Market Live on Channels Television. Now, the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers will be meeting with the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, tomorrow in Lagos. In an exclusive interview we had with the President of the Institute, Mr. Adekoje, he explains why the meeting is coming a few days to the general elections. Let's listen to him.
Foremost, let me correct the impression that we're not meeting the Vice President because of the election coming. We have been on this thing for quite some time. It's quite unfortunate that he gave us a date that is close to the election time. We want to meet him for an interactive session to discuss the economy. Don't forget that the Vice President is the chairman of the Economic Summit. So we're meeting him in that capacity, not as a vice presidential candidate of any party. Okay? So we want to talk about the economy. We are political. We're not talking politics. We want to see how we can grow the economy using our industry, which is the capital market, to grow the economy. That's what we want to meet him about. It's going to be an interactive session. It's nothing to do with politics. It's nothing to do with election. So I think it's important we get that right. That message we're passing across to the public, that we're meeting Professor Yemi Osinbajo on how to grow the economy to double digits and not on the forthcoming general election. We want to discuss with him on how we can deepen the market, how we can deepen the financial market, on how we can reduce unemployment using the capital market, okay? And how to achieve financial stability. We need financial stability in the country. We need it, especially on our economy. So we want to ask him, what is the economic team doing for us to achieve this? We want to ask him how best they want to utilize the capital market for infrastructural deficit. So these are some of the objectives of this particular session we really want to have with him. Like you know, the SEC doesn't have a board. And there's a limit to what the DG can do on our own. There's a limit to what he can do. So we want to ask the Vice President, what is happening to SEC? When are they going to have a board in SEC? So that SEC can do what is expected of her. And we also want to discuss with him on the financial architecture of the country. We have the opinion that the financial architecture is faulty. There's need to review it. Let's take, for example, CBN is independent. I see no reason why SEC shouldn't be independent to focus on the physical of the economy, while the concentration of CBN, what CBN has been doing now, has been doing a very good job on the monetary. So we need to balance it. So these are some of the objectives we intend to achieve in the session we're going to have with the Vice President of Nigeria.
What is going to be different about this meeting? Because in the past 4 years of this administration, the capital markets seem to have benefited a lot from this administration. One, it was under this administration that we saw the introduction of the FGN Savings Bond, which has been issued consistently on monthly basis at different rates, actually. And then you have this FGN Sukuk bond also offered for the very first time in the history of this country, and of course the very first of its kind in West Africa. So what difference are you bringing on board? Or what will you be tabling differently at this meeting to the Vice President?
Good. Now, like I said, we have a lot of challenges in our economy. We have a lot of challenges, and these challenges cannot be addressed in one day. It has to be gradual, one after the other. I'm happy that you have mentioned some of the good steps the government has taken, some of the right paths the government has followed, but still a lot to be done. For example, I give an example of the infrastructural deficit. I mean, you can finance that with savings bonds, but it's got to be a long-term fund, okay? And government cannot do alone. They should privatize it, partner with the private sector. So we need to talk to government along that area. Partnering with the private sector will create a lot and lots of jobs. We're crying over unemployment. I mean, let's take, for example, what the toll gate, the Lekki toll gate has done for Lagos State. Can you imagine the kind of employment that has created? And the way the toll gate is working. I mean, I can't remember if I've seen any breakdown on that road at any time. So these are the kind of things that we want to talk to government about. You see, this government should shift from doing things on our own. You see, if you look at it with developed economics, it's a private sector participation that has developed most of this economics. The kind of finance you need for these projects, they're not short-term funds. They're not funds that you need for 2 or 3 years. They're long-term funds. So the government must partner with the private sector. That's what we're saying. The private sector will go for the funds. I mean, how many years have we been talking about empty and coming to the market? What are the challenges? What is delaying it? Okay, we need to take near our market. And activities has to happen for the market to be deepened. If we have activities, jobs will be created. Employment opportunities will come up. New products will come up. You see, if we develop products, okay, and the funds are not there to finance it, see, we need to educate people. I mean, the percentage of Nigerians participating in the capital market is less than 5% of the population. How do we deepen the market if the fiscal policy of the government is not tailored towards that? So we need to shift, balance both the fiscal policy and the monetary policy. We need to balance it.
But would you also be considering an engagement with the candidates of the opposition party? Because the vice presidential candidate of the major opposition party, for example, was actually an appointee of the SEC in terms of the chairmanship of that commission.
Yeah. So, well, you see, this particular issue has come up. Questions are coming up. I mean, even some of our members have come to me and asked that if the candidate is ready to meet us, we are ready to meet him as well. We'll be ready to meet him and ask him questions. So, but the most important thing is to get the message across to everyone that our meeting with the Vice President of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, has nothing to do with the forthcoming election.
Well, Mr. Adekoje is the president of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers. We should watch out for the outcome of that meeting with the vice president sometimes next week on Channels Television here. And this will be the last edition of the program before the presidential and National Assembly elections, until after the election, before we'll come your way with another version of Capital Markets. Thank you for watching. I'm Temple Ashaju. I'll see you next time.